and girls, and ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages. It's Jesse with the Common Nerd, bringing you pop culture and all things nerdy through a common sense lens. And if you hadn't heard, Legend of Zelda movie from Nintendo and Sony had some major set leaks over the weekend, revealing our very first look at Princess Zelda herself, of course, our hero of time, Link, and potentially a Sheikah as well. And this was absolutely set the internet on fire, boys and girls. And how does Nintendo respond? Do they respond by striking everyone and causing the footage to all go away like a lot of people expected? No, instead, boys and girls, they give us our official first looks at Zelda and Link for the new Legend of Zelda movie, boys and girls, that is coming in 2027. And I, for one, am super excited about this. I am beyond cautiously optimistic. With the success of Super Mario Brothers out there, boys and girls, I think we are in for a super exciting Nintendo cinematic universe out there, and Legend of Zelda will be one of the major installments out there to prove and establish this thing going forward. Obviously, we've got the sequel to Super Mario coming out, Super Mario Galaxy coming out in April of 2026. And following in 2027, we will get the Legend of Zelda movie. And despite all of the fears about the Hunter Schafer rumors running around, boys and girls, Nintendo is going classic and going true to form over here. And now we've got our first leak, our first look. And what choice did Nintendo have, boys and girls? Because like I said, the Zelda movie leaked set video hints at a major character reveal, as well as giving us our first look at Link and Zelda in their actual costumes for the movie. And this is absolutely fascinating. So we're going to check all of this out. We're going to go over all of this kind of stuff. We'll probably use Geeks and Gamers article over this versus using the legacy media, just give you some attention. But we do have full looks at all of these pictures. We'll check out all of the juicy details and get into all of this. But there is video from these set leaks out there. So fair warnings out there for potential spoilers if you're wanting to go into this movie completely and totally blind. But there's new pictures released officially from Nintendo, do look absolutely fabulous, so you should skip ahead to at least check those out if nothing else. So boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting all of the juicy details of this and show you our first looks at our new Link and Zelda in live action. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we are grinding, we are growing. We just crossed 2,400, ladies and gentlemen, over the weekend. And I could not have done that without every single one of you. I think we're sitting at like 2,411 on our way to 2,500. And of course, to continue on that journey, for all of you new folks out there, smash that subscribe button and get us to help us get us to 2,500 as well. And also, let us know what you think about all this in the comment section down below. Are you excited about the Legend of Zelda live action movie? Do you think they're actually going to be able to pull this off properly in live action versus the animation that we got for Super Mario Brothers movies? Are you as confident about this one as you are about the next Super Mario installment? Do you think this will end up being fabulous, or do you think somehow Sony will end up screwing this all up? Let us know what you think about it in the comment section down below. And of course, if you'd like to support the channel, please check the links in the description as well. This is my full-time job, and your memberships do go a very long way, boys and girls. All right, from thatparkplace.com and our dear sweet Marvin Montanero. Zelda movie leaked set video hints at major character reveal. So let's just get into the fun part, right? Let's just get into the videos, because this is the big one right here. This is the 43-second one. So I saw some smaller clips of this one over the weekend, but this looks really, really awesome. This is Legend of Zelda live action being filmed in New Zealand. And obviously this is the actress, which I cannot remember her name. Let me look this up. Let me look at this here real quick to make sure. Here let's jump over to the Variety article, because they have her name right here at the beginning right here. Bo Braganson is our Zelda. Boys and girls, it's Bo here. So here's our first look over here at Bo and all of that kind of lovely reveal right here in this big old video. So this is the one that came out over the weekend. And like I said, Nintendo didn't have much of a choice. I'm glad they didn't go crazy trying to strike people and try to crush all of this. Instead, they just reminded, like, you know what, we'll release some official videos. And honestly, that's the best way to do it, and it's going to make sure that your fans aren't upset with you for doing nasty things. So check this out. So obviously you can hear all of that in the background. right? Let me see. You guys don't really need to hear too much of the video, but you can see everything going around here. You've got the horse here. You've got Bo walking in, obviously looking right. They're very much going for the Breath of the Wild kind of aesthetic with the blues, and so very much her outfit from those games. So that really cool. And then obviously this to me looks very much like a Sheikah character. Obviously you can see the pointed ears, which is very common among Hyrulians. Obviously you can see that with Zelda as well. By the way, Bo looking good in that outfit, very much so. We like to see that, obviously. But it's one of those things, I love a lot of the attention to detail that it looks from the horses, bridles and all of that kind of stuff out there to the saddles, everything that looks like there's a lot of attention to detail. I wouldn't say it's quite on the level of like, oh, I don't know, Lord of the Rings, but it's definitely looking good. And obviously when we get better high definition looks at this kind of stuff in the future from trailers and things like that, we'll have a better idea of this. But it looks like they are putting a lot of effort into the set pieces and they're not skimping out. And that is always a very good sign. If they're going to put that much effort into how things look, well, then generally that bodes well for the rest of it, boys and girls. I mean, come on, think about Rings of Power and how abysmally trashy that thing looks out there. So you can see, obviously, having a conversation over here, talking about some stuff. They're obviously out in the woods, probably on the run for something, trying to escape from things. But I like one of the things I wanted to point out here, too, and I know it's a little hard to see in this video as well. Hopefully, you can kind of zoom in. YouTube and I think Rumble, but wherever you're watching the video, gives you a little option to zoom in on the screen. So if you guys want to zoom in over there. But I really like, you can see the Hyrulian, the family, the royal family crest on the saddle. It looks really good. I really like how it looks on there. So I don't think they really zoom in on this one too terribly much on that. But like I said, you just got everybody running around. You're going to have a little horse riding scene. You've already got like a scene of a conversation here. But like I said, a lot of, like there's a good little image of it right there. Like I said, I really like, it looks like they put in some good effort into the attention to detail on the set pieces, on the bridle, on the saddle, and I think it looks good. And so that gives me a warm fuzzy. And New Zealand's a great place to film for something like this, considering Hyrule and the forest and the way it's all lush and green and everything else. This makes total sense that they're filming in New Zealand, so it works out great. Plus, I'm sure there's some great tax benefits too. You know, you got to save money where you can, boys and girls. So that's what we get for that one. So that was the first one. That leaves us to our Princess Zelda, right? That brings us to Bo here. This is our first official look at her. This is the first official Nintendo version of it. Obviously, very lovely young lady out here. Gorgeous eyes. Fits perfectly for the look of Zelda. I don't think anybody's really got any complaints about the casting for this one. She looks the part. It works out very well. Obviously, the costume that we've already seen her in from the leak video looks really good. I'm liking the way this looks. It all sets very well. Obviously, it makes sense they're kind of going with Breath of the Wild, that kind of era, that kind of timeline with things, because that's one of the most recent video games out there. It's the freshest in people's minds. That makes sense that they're going with that. That feels familiar. Also, from a marketing standpoint, it makes all of your toys and your action figures and all that kind of stuff a lot easier to produce, because you can just use stuff that you've kind of basically already designed out for the video game toys. So just from really a marketing perspective, that makes a lot of sense too. But that leads us to the other leak that we had over the weekend, boys and girls. And that was, of course, our first look at Link himself. Now, obviously, we get another look at Bo over here in the role over here as well. So that's pretty neat on all of that kind of stuff as well. But the real big thing is our first look at Link here, boys and girls. Watch us spy on the set of Legend of Zelda.
Legend of Zelda.
Like, and you know how this is, right? These are some country boys in New Zealand, right? They know these woods better than anybody else out there, right? Like, it's not even close. It's not even funny. Like, you know how any of us that grew up in the country know how this is. We know our woods better than anybody else out there, right? We knew where they were coming. We knew what they were setting up. We knew how to find this place. And they're like, look, man, this is dope. We're all excited about this. We're going to do this. Like, these look like local boys. I could be completely wrong, but they look like local boys. And I like that. I like that. So there you go. There we go. There's our first look. There's our first Link. There's our first look at Link right there. Getting the green tunic, right? Makes everybody really happy. A lot of people are happy to see that. The green tunic, the traditional. The real question is he going to wear the hat? That's the real question. Are we going to get the hat? I'm sure at some point we're going to get the hat. I mean, let's just be realistic. From a fighting perspective alone, it would be hard to keep that thing on during fighting scenes. And if this thing's anything like the games, and then of course there's another look at Bo as our lovely Princess Zelda, looking fabulous out there. The costume looks great. Everything looks spot on with that. But that's kind of the exciting part, right? The first look at Link, and this kind of leads into more of what we saw in the last one. But like that's what we're getting, right? Like the Link shots here. This is what's really kind of important out of this leak. So this looks really cool. Obviously still very similar to some of the stuff we've seen in the recent games. Honestly, outside of a few color changes and a couple of variations out there on things, this Link's tunic and outfit really hasn't changed too terribly much over the years. I know there's been some variations, but it hasn't been too terribly changed over the years. So that's always good. That's always appreciated to see. It's like I said, these are all pointing to signs in the right direction. They're doing the right things. The looks are looking right? This is Nintendo, right? These guys are notorious for being insane about their source material, being insane about protecting their IP. So that leads us into now our first official look at Link right here. Now, obviously, you've got the ears, you've got all that kind of stuff. I like the kind of fierce, strong, silent type of look he's kind of got going for him. Now, we have heard from the director that he will probably speak, but very much in a limited way. He's not going to be out there giving grand speeches or anything like that, which of course would be completely off-putting for anybody who's ever played the game, right? Because Link is you in the game, right? That's why you don't give him any lines. It's your version, it's your view into this fantastical world of Hyrule with Ganondorf and everything else, and taking people down and all the monsters and your undead little skeletons popping out of the ground and all the fun stuff that you get with a Zelda game, right? And that's what you're giving him, right? The look is right. The age is right. The young hero, we always think probably at youngest, probably, 16, 17, teenage years. At the very oldest, probably early 20s, something like this. So it all fits. We know Princess Zelda is supposed to be around that age as well. So this all works out really well. So I like this. And the nice part is the actors are young enough to where if you want to keep them around for a while, which of course we know Nintendo's plan is for a Nintendo cinematic universe, right? That is the plan, that you're going to want to do sequels. This movie's going to end up making $1 billion, right? As long as it ends up doing well, right? As long as there's nothing that completely and totally off-puts the cast, this thing's going to end up off-puts the fans. This thing's going to end up making $1 billion, just like the Super Mario movies is. This thing, they are going to set a new standard. Nintendo is going to set a new standard for cinematic universes and doing your adaptations well and giving the fans what they actually want, of going, yeah, this is how you do it. This is the gold standard. Because guess what? When you actually make the fans happy with a popular IP, that's $1 billion box office. That's what that is. And Nintendo, a Japanese company, is about to show American Hollywood how it's done. And they're going to use video game characters from games targeted at basically 13 and under. Right? Let's be generous and say 13 and under. Right? That's going to be absolutely hilarious. That is going to be absolutely hilarious, boys and girls. So that takes us to our first official reveal, right? Nintendo has officially unveiled the first Legend of Zelda movie photos, giving audiences a genuine look at the long-awaited live-action adaptation of the game series. After years of speculation, fan wish lists, false starts, and even outright hoaxes surrounding potential adaptations, this marks the first time Nintendo has released real studio-authorized images from a live-action Zelda project. The newly shared photos published through the Nintendo Today app showcases, which they're really encouraging a lot of people to pick that up. Actors Bo Bragginson as Princess Zelda and Benjamin Evan Ainsworth as Link. The images instantly lit up social media, signaling that the production is not only underway, but visually far along. Nintendo's release also functions as the company's first formal confirmation that filming has begun, something many have guessed after earlier set leaks, but which had not been publicly acknowledged by the studio. Production is currently taking place in New Zealand, a location with dramatic landscapes, yada, yada, yada. We already saw that in the films. But we know Nintendo likes to keep this stuff under wraps, right? They're not big on leaking. They're not big on teasing things. When they are ready for you to see a project, they will show it to you. This isn't Marvel or this isn't Star Wars where they're constantly announcing things that either never come to fruition or they take years and years and years to finally come out. Yeah, Marvel Zombies, we're talking about you. So that's not how Nintendo operates, right? And obviously we can look at the two different brands and their two different cinematic results and see which one's working and which one's not. So yeah, Nintendo, keep being Nintendo and keep doing your thing, chicken wing. Among the initial images is a wide landscape shot seeking Legend of Zelda looking over what seems to represent the Kingdom of Hyrule. Do we really need descriptions of the pictures out here? In these first images, Zelda appears in a blue robe that clearly evokes her design from Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. light, ornate, modern, reflecting the most recent mainline game's visual identity. Duh, like we said, it makes sense. This is the most recent game. This is going to be one of the most recent ones, most fresh in everybody's mind. So obviously we've had the other one after that, but still, this is what they're going for. And honestly, it probably means that they might just be using the two most recent games as story elements and aspects to lead this story that we're going to be seeing. And honestly, that would make sense, right? We saw Super Mario Brothers, which that one did kind of set up the entire world, kind of referenced a lot of the classic games, brought in a lot of the classic characters all the way down to Donkey Kong and stuff like that. Whereas this one, why not? You've got two games that essentially quasi stayed in the same universe, stayed kind of sticking to the same story idea here. Why not just make this one? Because trust me, Nintendo's already got a sequel planned, right? They already know this movie's going to make $1 billion, and all they need is the confirmation that that's going to happen to officially greenlight the second one, right? So they've already got this planned. So that's what we're going to get. We're going to get elements from the two recent games all over this movie, which honestly, I'm totally good with that. I love the idea. I love the story from the two most recent games. So yes, please give it to me. Link's costume, however, leans more in the direction of the Wii game Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, with a dark green tunic and a more rugged textured look. The combination creates an interesting cross-era interpretation that has already sparked intensive fan discussion about what the influences of the film might be drawing from. While speculation continues, Nintendo has yet to clarify whether the movie pulls from any singular game timeline hybrid approach. Nintendo keeps everything close to the bench. This isn't surprising at all out there. They're not going to tell us anything more than what the directors and those kind of people are allowed to tease, what they've already teased, right? Like the little bit about Link potentially speaking a little bit and things. That's what they're going to do. That's what they're going to be linking. As Impa in the film. Obviously, that's what we're thinking, right? It looks a lot like her character. Ocarina of Time, right? All of that kind of stuff. You've seen Impa show up and further things like her character, her species, well, her tribe, essentially. Those people, they've always been around for a long time. So it very much looks like it could be that kind of situation out there. She could be part of the Sheikah tribe out there. It makes total sense for that kind of thing out there. The dress is perfect. The hairstyle is perfect. So that would be cool. Impa's a fan favorite character. A lot of people love her, and so it's one of those things. I don't have anything. And the actress that this looks like it could be portraying her, I don't know for sure. Absolutely could be a wonderful person out there. She's a good actress. I've seen her before. I can't remember her name, but I've seen her in several things out there. So here's the final photo, right? This is what we've got, the big one. This is the one with the rolling landscape of New Zealand, aka Hyrule, in the background. Obviously, you've got our Princess Zelda with her arrows, her notches, all that kind of stuff. You've got Link doing the Link thing, no hat, i.e. as of right now. So we'll see what goes on with that in the future. But honestly, if that's the biggest thing we have to complain about is the fact that he had no hat on, I'm not really going to complain all that much. So this looks great. I really like it. The look of it, the texture of it, it all just feels right. It looks like they're putting a lot of effort into the detail. Bo looks great. The Link looks great. Like, I think this just looks like a lot of fun. And as far as what the story is going to concern, well, it sounds like they're definitely going to be pulling elements from the most recent games. So I'm really liking this. I'm excited for it, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. With production ongoing in New Zealand and interest climbing across fan communities, Nintendo's promise of more to come is already building anticipation. Many viewers will be watching closely to see how this historic adaptation balances the beloved elements of the games with the demands of a big screen narrative. And honestly, they balanced it so well that I don't think any of the fans have much to worry about at the end of the day. This all looks great. We've already got at least one banger in the pocket of Nintendo Cinematic Universe with the Super Mario movie. We've got Galaxy coming out here in a few months. That one's probably going to end up doing the exact same, especially if Rosalina just absolutely crushes it. If Brie Larson is able to pull it in as Rosalina, and everybody really enjoy that. And now we're getting Zelda. Like, as a guy who played these games as a kid, like Ocarina of Time was really my first introduction to the first full Zelda game that I was able to play all the way from beginning to end and beat. And this was back before they nerfed the water temple, right? Back when you had to use dial-up to look up internet guides and you got them in text format. Okay, for all of you wonderful children of the internet out there. And it's one of them situations where I love this universe. I love this story. I love Link. I love Princess Zelda. And I'm excited to see what Nintendo can do with all of this kind of stuff. Because as of right now, Nintendo seems to be setting the gold standard for this kind of stuff. Just hands down beyond none. And if they keep this up, as long as they don't end up going down the same path that Marvel did, trying to repeat the mistakes that were made in the comic books, but trying to chase after some modern spirit of the age that doesn't exist and will never show up to make any money for your movies, then this could be an unstoppable force that Hollywood wasn't expecting, and that Hollywood's also going to take all of the wrong lessons from. Right? Instead of Hollywood learning the lessons that Nintendo is going to do so very well, sticking to your source material, giving us great stories with great characters that not only look identical to the characters that we all know and love, but also act like them, speak like them, or in some cases don't speak at all, and actually make the fans happy. The lesson Hollywood's going to learn from this is more video game adaptations. We already see that all over the place. And you know what? To a certain degree, we'll probably get some great success and some massive failures with that. And we might see a nice new golden age of cinema just based on video game adaptations instead of being on comic book adaptations like we've seen in the past. And the comic book genre will get smaller, but as long as they actually maybe learn the proper lessons from Nintendo and stick to the source material and give the fans what they want and don't let their own personal biases or ideology get in the way, we could see a whole new golden age of cinema. But at the end of the day, it all depends on whether or not the egos, the prides, and the narcissists out there in Hollywood can get out of the way of their own selves and actually make the fans happy like what Nintendo is clearly trying to do. And the best part about this is I honestly don't think we wouldn't have got this if it wasn't for the set leakers. If it wasn't for those hardcore fans out there who took it to themselves to trounce through the woods and get images over the weekend of the filming that is currently going on. This was something that wasn't even confirmed by Nintendo. No one was expecting to get these official images. So shout out to hopefully them good old hometown country boys over there in New Zealand who caught this footage. Because boys, if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't have got these amazing high definition official first looks at the new Legend of Zelda movie coming from the Nintendo Cinematic Universe. So shout out to them boys in New Zealand. Keep up the good work because we are in for an absolute joyride for all Nintendo fans and especially the Legend of Zelda fans, because boys and girls, our Princess Zelda and our Link look absolutely phenomenal. And I, for one, normally only say I'm cautiously optimistic about anything, but Nintendo, based on your track record so far and what we've seen, ladies and gentlemen, Common Nerd is very, very excited about what the future of the Legend of Zelda movie has in store for us, because the Nintendo Cinematic Universe is looking bright, and I, for one, cannot wait to see what happens with it. And at the end of the day, the fans will decide, boys and girls. And as of right now, the fans think the Nintendo Cinematic Universe looks very bright and exciting for all of us out there. And that means billion-dollar box offices. And boy, isn't that going to be fun to see, boys and girls. A big shout out to all of our subscribers and members out there. Thanks for watching, and make sure you guys like and subscribe if you have not already.